Okay, we're back with number 6 of our top 5 takeaways. That's right, we like to exceed expectations. But the other thing that we saw too many of them to not let you know about was panels. All right, panels, they used to be kind of a dirty word in quilting because they frankly weren't great the way they were done. But panels have come a long way, baby. And in 2024, man, are there some good panels coming out that quilters can use to either get to the part they love the most, which is the quilting, or to just experience their quilting in a different way and get more things done faster. So I'll kick it off. We were at Riley Blake, and there is a designer there, Cotton and Joy, that has a great panel that looks really like cheater cloth with a star kind of motif on it. It's got a white background, kind of light, bright colors, and she used it to create a backpack from. Quilted the panel, the cheater cloth panel, and then cut out the pieces to make a backpack. It was superb, looked like $1 million. It was called Starlit, and I believe it's part of the Essence line, which comes out in August of 2025.
Okay, and then we hopped on over to Moda and saw many great things. One was from Sherry and Chelsea, and their Raspberry Summer Collection featured a Dresden 6-inch square that you could fussy cut and use that as a focal point in a pillow, as a block center, and it was just a great way to get a complicated looking block without having to do all the work.
And they had used it as the yardage as a lining of a bag, so the inside of the bag looked like $1 million, and there was no piecing involved in it whatsoever. I'm going to hop back to Riley Blake, where Sandy Gervais had 2 panel motifs. One was a Christmas motif and one was an autumn motif that were these giant wreaths that were probably 30 inches or maybe 36 inches square, and they were the centerpiece of a couple of quilts. So she also had that at Riley Blake. And then back at the Moda booth, Debbie Maddie, who's known for her shibori dies, had 2 panels of snowflakes that were a white version, a blue snowflake on a white background and a white snowflake on a blue background, and she had used those snowflake motifs. They come out in June of 2025 as part of her winter chill line, but she had used them to fussy cut out as blocks to scatter around the quilt and use in all different ways. So another great panel.
You know what an idea for those might be is to put on the back of a jean jacket or on the front panel of a bag.
100%.
It's a way to jazz it up, and I love Debbie's shibori designs. They're just beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we also saw at Moda Joanna Figueroa, Fig Tree and Company, her blonde Natal.
Yep.
And it is a Christmas themed panel. It's like running yardage panel. And there were also some squares that you could fussy cut and use in, as accent pieces in a quilt. And she used the panel kind of to frame some quilts for borders, and you could also use it as sashing, like maybe a running yardage for centerpiece down your holiday
she had
table.
one that had like houses and trees along the bottom of it, and it could be used as a border motif for things, but she also used it in an apron, a lot of different ways that she showed to use it. So great use of that.
Also, I think she had a drawstring bag that would be great for those presents that don't really fit in a rectangular box, but that would be a great gift wrap idea.
Also in the Moda booth, there's a Create Joy Project section. Laura from Create Joy Project did a beautiful panel that was called Wanderlust, and it sort of looked like a landscape panel where it had different shadings from top to bottom. And she used it in a couple different ways. She cut it out in part of a row quilt and used different pieces of that panel from top to bottom and interspersed with pieced rows. And then she also took one as a whole cloth and just embellished and did some stitching on top of it.
Yeah, it was super versatile.
Yeah, that comes out in April of 2025.
Okay, and then also at Moda, we saw Lisa Bonjean's Pumpkin Spice Gathering, her Happy Fall Y'all panel. It was so cute. It had like a printed stitch motif with Happy Fall Y'all, and then a fall seam. So that's a great way to already have the built-in lines for stitching and kind of get that seasonal kick right off the bat.
Yep. And the last one we saw in the Moda booth was called Love and Cheer, was the new line by Amaryllis Henderson. And it's sort of a painted look panel, and it had a wreath with some cardinals in it. Beautiful Christmas. Had some words written on it, spread love and cheer far and near, and was just so artfully done. And I think that's overall what we would take away from looking at all the panels we saw. They just aren't what we were used to seeing years ago. That was kind of like, it's not really me. Now they're just so beautifully done. You're like, how fast can I get to it?
Right, beautifully done, and also different ways to use them. There were big panels, there was running yardage, there were pieces that you could fussy cut. Another great example was at Anna Maria Textiles booth. She is now, her fabric line is a division of Northcott Fabrics, and she had a great collection called Pieceworks, and they were like mini micro piece looking printed yardage. So small little tiny 9 patches, flying geese, some star prints, and she used them on small like pencil bags, or you could use it on a messenger bag or a tote bag. But it was a great way to get an intricate, like detailed look that, oh my gosh, nobody wants to piece, but it was beautiful.
Right, so simple to sew, and it looked like $1 million. Poppy Cotton also had some great panels as well. They had one that was called Grandma's Sewing Room. That was Grandma's Sewing Room was the one that had sewing machine motifs, like squares, sort of vintage looking. They had one called Grandmother's Garden, which was the grandmother's flower garden pattern on a whole cloth kind of design. So again, back to that, if you want to use it as a quilt backing and not have to have it pieced, if you want to use it and incorporate it in a way that you don't have to actually do the hexagon piecing, it'd be great for that. They also had a vintage Christmas one that was called Frost and Flurry. It was a project panel, and you had a simple board around it, have a Christmas quilt done in no time. So lots of fun things there.
And finally on our list was at Wyndham, Marcia Dursey's newest collection. It's called Sketchbook 21. It was running yardage that looked like postcards, kind of vintagey. If you know Marcia Dursey's style, it kind of looks watercolor, very artsy and beautiful. And then she also had some that were had Cantha stitching painted on it, and I thought, oh, that would be a great way to just trace the stitches if you wanted to stitch it, or just use it and go, and you don't have to do the stitching.
Yeah, looked like $1 million.
Yeah.
And I think Wyndham also has another one of those lines, kind of along the line of Anna Maria Horner's textiles, of the pickle dish design on bolts of fabric, where you have something that looks like a more intricate quilt design, but you haven't had to do any of the patchwork. So I guess we're all about cheater cloth that looks great.
Well, really a way to step up your design, and if you don't have a lot of time or want to use it for a back that has a different look, or bag linings too. I mean, those were some great uses to use panels or fussy cut pieces that maybe haven't been brought out as much in the past.
Right. Panels. Just say yes.